Hi there, and welcome to the 8th edition of Career Stories Live. I'm really pleased to have Gillian Whitney here today to join me. Welcome, Gillian. Thank you so much for coming on.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
And so early for you. I feel so bad. What time are you there?
5 o'clock.
Oh, no, I thought it was 6. It's even worse.
No, it's like a Jimmy Buffett song. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, just 5 o'clock the other way.
Oh, blimey, that's mad. Oh, I do feel bad. So please do, anyone that's watching, please do comment to let us know that you're here, where you're watching from. Feel free to ask any questions or share your experience in the comments. You'll see that Jeff was here already. So Jeff saying, can't wait to see us together again. So thanks, Jeff. Thanks for joining. Okay, so there you go. So Gillian and I connected in 2021 in January. I've been on her show, she's been on mine, so it's really great to catch up. We've just been chatting before we came on, almost forgot to go live. So so the basis for these lives, so I've always just been really interested in what people do and why they do it. So I love learning about different roles, career paths, hope to give people advice, all of that. So my aim really is to inspire thought about what people can do and to get advice from experts on where to source information. Hopefully get some great tips from Gillian today. So Gillian listed lots of roles in her profile before we chatted. So video marketing, librarian, digital marketer, curriculum design, and loads more. So as we start, Gillian, could you just give us a brief intro to you and what you do right now?
Absolutely. Okay, so I am a LinkedIn video marketing coach, and what that means is I help people with their learning how to use video on LinkedIn, and I'm known for making it easy peasy because I don't think you should have to be a Hollywood producer to put out a social media video. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, excellent. So we've got a few people coming in. So we've got G saying good morning. Icy cold, 7 a.m. Okay, excellent. Jeff's telling you to get more coffee. Paul's saying it's good. So I couldn't speak this morning, Gillian, when I woke up. So but it's back. It's a bit croaky, but it's back. And G's saying that she's prepping for her work day and we're loving it. Oh, thank you. So are you. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming in. Okay, so Gillian, how did you start your career?
Oh gosh. Okay, so it's a long circuitous story. I love that word, circuitous. Hope I'm saying it right. So essentially, the thing that ties all of my careers together is a passion for learning. And then I'm kind of a lot like Jeff. I'm a teacher by trade in terms of I love to teach people because I love to empower people and make them self-reliant. And so my journey actually began in the library of all places, which is understandable because I grew up as a kid in the library reading books. I'm a book nut. I'm a nerd. I have a ton of books, in person, on the Kindle, everything. I love books. I've always loved books as a kid. And that got me to learn that you could learn about anything if you pick up a book. And so my first job out of college, I have a psychology degree, and my first job out of college, well, it was funny. When I graduated college, I thought the world was waiting for me. So I graduated and I was like, ta-da, I'm here, I'm ready. And the world went, we're busy. We're busy. We're not taking any notice of you. And I couldn't get a job. So I thought, what do I love to do? I love books. I love learning. I'll go work at a library. So my very, very first job was working at the University of Georgia. I actually grew up in Toronto, Canada. And then I moved down to Athens, Georgia. It's not even Atlanta. Athens, Georgia is a teeny little town in Georgia because my husband at the time was going to graduate school down there. So I thought, well, I'll get a job at the university, and I got a job at the library. And I loved it. And that set my path in motion to work at libraries. And I moved on. We moved on to Phoenix. I got a job working in Phoenix at the Phoenix Public Library. And I loved libraries. And I thought that's where my destiny was to go. Totally made sense. So I had a degree and I thought I'll just go get a master's of library science. And then they didn't let me in. And it was just like, what? It was just like I assumed. I did the entrance exams. I had all the letters of recommendations, and they just said, we only have so many slots. You don't get them. And then it was just like, well, what now? There was nowhere else I could go to school. We didn't have online schools back then. So I went, okay, what skills, and this is the important thing, Sarah, is to always look at what skills can I transfer and do something else. So I thought, okay, I love to learn. And then there was this thing called the internet was starting, and it was brand new, like we had what was called America Online. It was like we had to have a
Oh, yeah.
modem, and
Yeah.
it took forever to go on the internet. And I was working at a library, and they said, "You're really good with computers. We could teach you how to do this thing called the internet and online searching." So I went, okay, I learned how to do it. And literally, you would have to compose your searches and save them, go on the internet, do them really, really fast, and then get off because it was that expensive.
Mm.
And you could only go on for a few minutes at a time, or you would have this ridiculous bill. So I was learning how to do this. I didn't get into library school. And so I made a shift to the corporate world, and I became a computer trainer. And so that allowed me to kind of take a sidestep. And then I found out that I would make more money as a tech writer. Sometimes we do chase the money. So I traded in computer training for becoming a tech writer, did that for several years. And then, like a lot of women do, I had children. And then you're like, okay, what can I do and work from home? And I went back to computer training and started designing online courses, building them for kids. My favorite course was Become a Google Ninja, where I taught kids how to use Google, which I was so passionate about. That's why I'm the Google goddess, because people say, why are you the Google goddess? Because I know everything about Google. So I did that for a while. And then once my kids were grown up, I then thought maybe I could teach instead of kids, because I was doing courses for charter schools, which is private schools in America. So I was doing courses for them, and they were all online. And then I went, maybe I could teach adults. And then I moved into online marketing, did SEO of all things. That was like the worst thing for me ever. It was just like, oh, SEO, it's too hard. And then I decided I just do tech writing, blogging, online stuff, that sort of thing. And that's when I began to see it was very, very hard to rank articles on websites. And that's when I learned about video to get articles to the top on websites. And then video marketing, that became my niche, narrowed down, went into that. And here I am today, video marketer. So it sounds like a crazy journey, but it was always about learning, teaching, learning, shift. And I think that's what we have to do with our careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting that really early on you identified that you needed to have some transferable skills to kind of pivot into something else.
Yep. And I think you always have to do that. And you have to, like, I remember once I really thought about it, and I thought, do other people just become one thing and they stay that their whole life? And I found out actually, no, they say that on average, people go like maybe 3 or 4 years in one profession, and then they make a little bit of a pivot, and they take some of their stuff and they use that to learn other skills and then move in another trajectory. And I think that that's what we have to do in life, is recognize you're constantly evolving. You're probably, unless you're a doctor or a lawyer and you've invested in one path and you go that whole way, especially as a small business owner, you have to adapt, and you just have to change all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. I was just thinking then, when you talk about the early days of the internet, I was remembering that it used to be you couldn't use the phone and the internet at the same time, could you? So it would be like, does anyone need to use the phone before I go onto the internet? Like you say, 10 minutes and then we're off again.
Exactly. And I remember when I first started getting going with the internet, I couldn't wrap my brain around, what was this? And I remember somebody said, envision a library. And I'm like, okay, I got that, because I'm a big library fan, right? And they said, envision a library with all the books on the floor. That is the internet. And your job is to sleuth through those and try and find things and they're not organized. And I went,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that really
Okay,
makes
that makes
sense.
sense. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's lots of comments. I'm just going to put some of those up. So we've got Jeff saying my voice sounds a bit like Lauren Bacall this morning. Thank you, Jeff. Craig saying Scotland's in the house. Stewie's favourite women. Oh, thank you, Craig. And Craig's on in a couple of weeks actually, so that's going to be good. Okay, there's G, Craig chatting, and then we've got Ella saying great to be able to join. Oh, thanks, Ella. Thanks for coming in. World said we're busy. Oh, God, there's so much chat going on here. Okay, and Kevin saying it's so early. Only Sarah and Gillian can make me shout at this time. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you very much. And then G saying she's feeling so old listening to this old school internet chat today. How we've evolved, definitely. So yeah, like our careers, I guess the internet has evolved. So libraries. So do you? So whenever we go away, we always go to the local library wherever we are. And my mum worked in a library, so she kind of did it the other way around. She retired and then got a job in the library. So we all, as a family, love books. So yeah, everywhere we go, we end up in the library somewhere. Do you do the same?
I always do the same. And I used to do that with my kids. When we'd go on vacation, I would take them to the library, and they loved it because they always wanted to see how was the library a little bit different. There would always be somewhere to play.
Yeah.
And, it was always a great experience. And I know that it was really interesting. The library saved my life when I went to Israel because back in 2019, my husband and I moved abroad. We left the United States. We went to live in Israel. And then the pandemic hit. We were like locked in.
Wow.
And of course, we went to Israel with 6 suitcases, and that was it. 2 little dogs, 6 suitcases, and nary a book. I did not have any books with me. And I couldn't go to a library, couldn't do anything. And I couldn't read Hebrew. So it was like I needed books in English. And so one day it was so funny. I went on the computer and I wonder if my Las Vegas library card is valid in Israel. And it was. And the next thing I know, I was downloading books to my iPad. I had books and I just went, I can't believe what libraries do. And, it's really interesting. Like in Las Vegas, our libraries here, they're like universities. You go into a library and it has checkable Wi-Fi. You can take Wi-Fi cards and go home with them. They have iPads that you can borrow. They have books. They have movies. They have classes. They have LinkedIn learning through the library for free. There are so many things that you can get at a library. Our library here has a podcast studio.
Wow, that's so amazing. Oh, it's so also evolving. That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And not just books anymore.
Yeah, oh no, that's really good. Okay, so we talked a bit about being a librarian. We talked about you transitioning. So what about your values then? So most people I've spoken to so far have talked about their values either when they're looking for work or maybe the type of work they take on or the clients that they work with. So have you got any views on that? How important to you are your values?
Values are everything. And it was interesting this week. I was talking with John Asperian about Espresso Plus, and we were talking about ethical values and being ethical and being honest. But I would have, and I totally embrace that. But I'd have to say the biggest value that guides my life would be empowerment. And I had a client once sit with me, and he said, I'm kind of thinking that because you're a coach, you're teaching me not to need you. And I said, exactly. I believe that people should be empowered. I don't want to do your video for you. I want to help you learn to do your own video. So I teach reliance. I like people to be empowered to take care of themselves and not have to rely on editors and outsourcing. And I believe anybody can do anything if they have a passion and a desire to learn, and they have somebody who's willing to teach them at their level. And it's always about the learning style, find out how people want to learn things. So I think that helped me as a technical writer, way back when, because I found the computer programmers, they could make wonderful programs, but they didn't know how to teach it to the end user. And that's where a technical writer could live in the world of, okay, I can take this really, really complicated thing how do I make it easy peasy for people to access that information? So I think that has guided me my whole
Mm.
life. How do you empower people to
Yeah.
learn themselves?
Yeah, and that builds trust in itself, doesn't it? Because you're sharing your knowledge really generously, but then you're going to be the one that's there learning about everything new coming up. So they're going to come back to you as repeat customers anyway. So, kind of works from that point of view as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think the other thing too is that if you embrace that idea that when you teach others, you learn better. So
Yeah,
there's nothing more there's no better teacher than having to learn and teach someone else, because then all of a sudden you have to break it down into steps and a logical flow and sequence. So if there's something that you anybody is struggling with, go and teach somebody else, because you're going to up level your own skills just to be able to explain it. Because if you can't explain it, you don't understand it.
yeah. No, that's a really good point. So, in terms of your career, what have you got in terms of career highs? What do you think's been the best things in your career so far?
Public speaking.
Yeah,
I absolutely love public speaking, and
yeah.
I am an introvert. So
Okay.
this was a challenge for me to always, get on stage and be in front of the camera. That was, of course, always a challenge too. Much easier to
Yeah.
be behind a camera instead of in front of a camera. And I went to Toastmasters to learn how to be a better communicator and a better leader. And so the highs for me have been being interviewed on podcasts, being on shows like this, getting to know people that were strangers, and then all of a sudden you become friends. And we talked about Jeff Young being in the audience today. He's just one of my favorite peeps out there on LinkedIn. And Jeff Young was the very first person that I networked with on
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And he was the first cold contact I ever met in person. And that was a challenge for me. I love Jeff. It was a fabulous meeting, but I was really, really nervous because networking was not my strength. And I'm
Yeah.
getting better at that. But I'd have to say, being able to get out and communicate with people, that has been a career high for me. And I absolutely love it. My goal in life is to one day climb that staircase to get up on a TED Talk stage. That's kind of
Mm,
like, that's when I can go, did it, and
excellent. That's a
and
really good
and and
goal.
probably have a book on Amazon. That's probably the second thing. Everybody wants their book on Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. So, what is Toastmasters about then? So, I've got a bit of an idea, but can you just talk a bit about what it is?
So Toastmasters is an international organization dedicated to up-leveling your communication skills. And so you go there, there's clubs, you just have to go to toastmasters.org, and there are clubs. There's the thing that called Find a Club, and you will
Okay.
find a club wherever you are. It is the most friendly organization. Clubs are everywhere, and you can find a club in the day, in the evening, at a restaurant, at a university. They're all over the place. And essentially what you do is you pick a path that you want to master. So it could be public relations, it could be presentations, it could just be humor. There's so many different paths you can pick, and literally all you do is you go and you give a speech. And sometimes other people are giving speeches, and you're an evaluator, and you learn how to run a meeting, and you learn how to time at meetings, and you
Okay.
work on your so's and your ums and your filler words and all these different things. And it's amazing. You start off and you're just like, oh my God, I'm a terrible speaker. And in the end, you learn how to get up and give an effective and timely speech, because they're very, very strict about learning how to speak within certain time limits. So if you got a
Okay.
speech that's 5 to 7 minutes, you learn how to do it. So for
Yeah.
anyone who has a goal of one day doing a TED Talk, because it's amazing how many people have that, go
Yeah.
to Toastmasters. And it's a very reasonably priced organization. And the one thing, it's kind of like library, Sarah, and that I can go to a Toastmasters club anywhere in the world. And I've done this on vacation, and I can walk in the door and they will just like totally accept you, love you, come sit,
Oh, that's
join
right.
us.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous organization. I recommend it for everyone, especially
Oh,
job seekers, because
yeah.
that gives you
Yeah.
those skills to then go on a job interview and feel confident. It gives you that confidence when you speak.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. A few more comments. So Jeff saying he's always had the most fun making techno speaker understandable English. Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely true. So I was a IT trainer for a while, and then my role was kind of like a middle person between the business and IT. And I really enjoyed that, kind of understand enough about the technical stuff that I could explain it to the business and, yeah, translating. So Craig is saying about you and Jeff, you're the two best translators he knows of. Excellent. And then Jeff saying you'd be outstanding at a TED talk, Gillian.
Oh, thank you.
It's an honour to meet you. That's lovely. So do you have a topic in mind, or you don't have to say if you don't want to for a TED talk?
I do, but it's still kind of roaming around in my
Yeah.
head. It's basically a topic about how everybody has a special story within them.
Okay.
I'm a big storyteller. I
Yeah.
love to hear stories. I love to tell stories. I think stories, probably this is again the influence of growing up in the world of books and reading stories. And I remember reading Pippi Longstocking and all those kind of books when I was a kid. And I think what it is that we don't recognize we all do have these stories, and our stories don't have to be super fantastic. Like I saved the family by running in after the fire and getting the cat. It doesn't have to be that. Sometimes your stories are about a pivotal moment in your life where all of a sudden you recognize, I did this thing and my life went this way, and look for those moments in your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that my TED Talk will be something about how we all have stories to share. We don't necessarily all maybe have a book in us, but we definitely have stories that will change other people's lives, and we remember stories. So if you
Yeah.
tell a story, people will remember the point that you had to make, the moral of the story.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So Ella now is saying that she'd love to do a TEDx talk sometime. She's starting working with speaker trainers tomorrow. Soon. So excellent. Thanks, Ella.
Woo!
So everyone's got all these goals that they're revealing now. So this is excellent. So you just mentioned a bit about networking, Gillian, saying that you weren't really that keen on networking. Do you think LinkedIn's helped with that in general?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. LinkedIn is a safe space
Mm,
where there is just so many tools for you to get to know other people. And for instance, like I love how, video person here, right? I embrace video meetings. If you don't have Zoom, you don't have any of these programs, you can use the video meetings within LinkedIn so that you could meet with other people. And back in the day when I was job seeking years and years and years ago, I was taught to do what was called informational interviews,
mm,
where you would actually take somebody for a cup of coffee. Back then we didn't have Zoom, so you'd have to really
yeah.
go meet people. And the idea is that you would just ask people, tell me about what you do for a job, what you do for a career,
Mm,
and getting to know other people. That's how you really find jobs, is that, if you sit and you apply for a job along with 200 other people, it's difficult and you could get a lot of no's. And I was one. I once did 50 jobs, and I said to myself, I'm just going to collect no's. Like I started getting so depressed. And then I went, you know what? Let's just get as many no's as possible. And I saved every rejection letter. And then on the 50th job, I got a job interview and I got the job. And that's when I became a tech writer. But, informational interviews, that is where you just meet with people, talk with people. And now networking on LinkedIn, if you have no agenda and you're showing up not to sell your
mm.
stuff,
Yeah.
it's a great thing. Just get to know people and just say, how can we help each other? How could we
Yeah.
support each other?
Yeah.
That's the way to network.
Definitely. And do you think that's the same for whether you're self-employed or if you're in an employed role?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether you're employed, looking for a job, or you're currently employed, get those contacts going. And it was interesting. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they said, "I've got a job now. so I don't need to do LinkedIn. And I said, no, you should continue to do LinkedIn. And I said, not because you feel you're going to lose your job, but more along the lines of you could be now helping other people. You might find key people that you want to bring into your organization. Plus also too, that's your safety net, because one day you might say, I've learned as much as I can at this job, and it's time for me to make a shift. And being aware of what other careers are out there, you could begin to say, you know what, I eventually want to go into this career. Maybe I'll get to know these people so that I'll have colleagues in that, target space of where I want to be. And what skills do I need to start acquiring today? And you and I have talked before, Sarah, about how much LinkedIn Learning has courses to help us, get different certifications. Most of it's free.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? And I think, I know it sounds really weird, it's almost like it's my place of work being online here, because I'm self-employed, and I kind of go in every day, see what my friends are doing, what they've been up to, what kind of work are they working on. And I've bought so much stuff off people on LinkedIn now. It is definitely my go-to place, I have to say.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I've noticed that one thing that can happen when you're on LinkedIn is that a lot of times people will maybe come to you with a proposal and they'll ask, do you do this? And you're like, well, I don't normally do that, but I think that that's something that I can do. So again, through networking and working with other people, you might begin to have different possibilities with your current business or your current career that you weren't aware of, just because people are asking you, how can you take these talents and repurpose them when you didn't even consider that yourself? So to me, that's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have any advice, Gillian, for anyone that's maybe wanting to start out in video marketing? What would you advise them?
Just do it. Do it. Find the people that of making videos that appeal to you. So nowadays there are so many different platforms. Of course, there's LinkedIn, but YouTube's huge. TikTok is huge. I would say start looking at videos that you enjoy watching, and then literally just get your phone and start making videos. There are so many free tools out there. There are so many video editing tools. You do not have to even go buy anything. Start with one. I'm going to give everybody a recommendation. CapCut. CapCut works on your phone. It works on a computer. It's completely free. It allows you to do editing. It allows you to do captioning, but it also allows you to do special effects. So if you want to be the next Steven Spielberg, you can make a fully edited movie, but begin to just learn about marketing is essentially using video to promote a service. So make videos about yourself, go and volunteer and make videos for people that that have businesses. Record them, client testimonials. There's so many different things that you can do to take that step into video marketing, but it's all self-taught. Google it. You can do it. Anybody can do this. It's amazing.
That's cool. And I think that's the other thing, isn't it, about the world of work these days is and I think you just demonstrate this, you're giving excellent advice to people that are essentially your competitors potentially in the future, but it's about collaboration, isn't it?
Yeah. And in my opinion, there's really no such thing as competition. There's collaboration. And I refer people to my competitors, because I can't service everybody. I'm an international video coach. I have clients all over the world, but I only have, so many hours in my week. I can't do everything. So if I have somebody that needs something, and if I can't do it, by having trusted colleagues, I can point that work to somebody else. That's a win-win, because now I know people that I vetted, that I trust, and not just like, oh, I know this guy, but I don't really know him. Maybe you'll go see him. It's like, no, I met that guy. We've had lunch. He's fabulous. I know he'll take care of you. That's a much better way to be. So, there's 50 billion trillion people on LinkedIn. You can't take care of everybody. So that's why you don't really have a competitor. Just work with the people that are right for you.
Yeah. Okay. So my Wi-Fi appears to be very weak at the moment, but hopefully I'm back. So what's next for you in your work then, Gillian? Have you got kind of plans afoot?
Well, I'm working on a book. I'm working on a book, and I've been saying it forever, and I'm doing it. I've actually outlined it. I'm doing it. I'm writing it. I'm going to do it. It will be done by the end of 2023, or I'm going to go and put myself on a deserted island and not let myself be seen in 2024 if I don't have it done. So that's my career goal. And I think that's you know, you're never going to make a lot of money. Probably you're not going to make any money making a book, but books help with your credibility. And again, we all have a story to tell. So that's why write those stories down now, people, because one day you're going to say, okay, I'm ready to sit down and do my book. What are my stories? Well, if you wrote them all down, you'll have your stories. So that's why I think it's amazing. I want a signed copy.
Excellent. Okay, so we are about out of time. So how can people get in touch with you, Gillian? So I'm going to just put your LinkedIn page up. Yeah, so here is the LinkedIn page.
Yep. At LinkedIn, and also too, for anybody who wants to know about resources for using video, I have a fabulous YouTube channel, Video Easy Peasy. I have so much stuff there. You know, it's like I tell people, you don't even have to hire me. Just go watch all my videos.
Watch. Excellent.
It's good.
Very good. Okay. So thank you again for coming on and for it being so early in the morning. I hope you're going to have a bit of a restful day.
It's fun. I have to go to the dentist, not that restful.
Oh, Jeff here, he wants to write the first review of your book. There you go. You're getting all the offers in now. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so future shows, I'm inviting guests who have got some people that are really experienced in their careers, others that are making big career changes. I'm booked up until the middle of April at the moment. It's pretty cool. I've got all of those people booked in. So next week I'm back with Trevor Meriden. So he's said in his blurb beforehand that he seemed to be destined a young trader, a scuba diving instructor and an editor at a national sports newspaper. So going to be very interesting chatting to him next week. So thank you to everyone watching and for all the chat that's been going on as we've been watching. It's been a bit of a social catch up, I think. So thank you. Thanks again, Gillian. And see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.